What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of BeReel365. It's been a little while. It's been a couple weeks. Life has just been crazy. Business has picked up. Man, it was a little difficult keeping up with this workflow and adding on to it just all the workflow for my business. So it's been a couple weeks trying to figure out um, how do I make the most efficient use of my time in order to put out still all of this content plus the content for my clients. So hopefully this is the beginning of back to normal and everyday content for the B-Roll 365 series. So I missed it. I missed putting out these episodes, and I hated having to stop. Like literally hated it. But it is what it is. Sometimes you got to pivot, take a step back, pivot, and just figure out where to go to from there. So I knew that it was definitely something I did not want to fully stop. It's definitely a series that I wanted to continue. I hope you guys are getting some kind of value out of it. So let's get into today's question, which is, do you have friends that you can really trust? And on the other hand, are you yourself loyal and trustworthy as a friend? So my life is, I'm kind of envious of, not really envious, but I just didn't have a childhood and a high school life that consisted of a lot of friends. I had a couple of really close friends when I was real young, a child, and then we moved, and of course I lost those friends as we so often do. And when I got into middle school and high school, I was a big time Christian, very much into the church, which was not cool in my school. My school was also a private school. I went to a private school for middle school and high school. I graduated high school with 40 people in my class. So not not exactly like most people that are out there. If you went to a private school, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I just didn't have that many friends growing up. I had one sort of good friend in high school, but I couldn't stand my high school time. So many people say they love being in high school. I hated it, to be quite honest. Probably because I didn't have very many friends, and so I didn't come out of high school with like a big group of friends that I hung out with all the time and did things with all the time. And then when I got into college, I made a couple friends that have stuck with me. One is no longer a good friend, just because things happen, and we find out who people really are, and so I decide I don't want to be associated with those kind of people anymore, and so I keep a very tight friend group. I I would say I have maybe two really good friends, and that's it. And I'm actually okay with that. The older I've gotten, the more I've realized that you don't necessarily need to have a large friend group to be happy. I'm very much okay with just the one or two friends that I have, close friends that I have now, and because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are true friends. See, here's what happens a lot of times. You think people who say that they are your good friend, best friend, you think that they are, but in reality, a lot of times they aren't. They're only friends with you to benefit themselves. And that sounds very cynical, I'm sure. Yet, it is so often, unfortunately, the truth. And so you really have to kind of become self aware of who you hang around. Uh, I'm sure you've heard quite often the phrase, you are the result of the five people you hang around the most. And so I just tended to separate myself from people that weren't helping me get to a better place in life. Not necessarily that they needed to help me, but just that they were good people in general. Uh, For instance, my good friend Jay, we've known each other for a long time, years now, and has always been there for me, and just really been what I would call a true friend. And I am thoroughly, thoroughly grateful to him for everything that he's done and helped me with and been there for me. Truly, truly appreciate that. Sean, who lived with me for a while, we lived together for a long time, went to college together, college roommates, very good friend of mine. We've since lost touch just because I moved and got super busy, and he's super busy, and so but has been there for me for a lot of things. And so I value those friendships a lot. And like I said, I'm completely okay with only having the one or two close friends, and that's it. If I were to say honestly, am I a good friend? Am I trustworthy and loyal? I would like to think that I am. I often feel that I don't give back as much as I get from my friendships. That's just something that I'm just personally working on. And I know that there are times, and I think it's a give and take, really. There are times where I have given a lot to friendships and not gotten as much in return. And then the opposite of that, there are times where I've gotten a lot and have not gotten much in return. But with the expectation, personally, of reciprocating that at some point. For instance, a close friend of mine now has really helped me out a lot. And I wasn't able to give a lot back. But now I'm starting to be in a position where I can give a lot back. And it doesn't necessarily need to be financial giving. I don't think that should be the basis of true friendship and loyalty. It shouldn't be based on financial gains. Otherwise, they're just like a business partner. They're like a client and not a friendship. Friendships should be based on trust and loyalty and how much you give without the expectation of getting anything back. That's what true friendship is. And it's something that I personally am working on every single day to be more cognizant of moving forward.